The last question that we have today was the question that was asked with the most votes, and it's about marijuana.
Oh, really?
It was the question with the most votes tackled the subject of marijuana, and it is written as following. A majority of Canadians, when polled, say they believe marijuana should be legal for adults, just like alcohol. Why don't you end the war on drugs and focus on violent criminals?
Well, it's a good question. I'm not sure I've seen this particular poll. There are different polls on this subject that show different things. But, I have two, say, young children. I guess they're now, Ben and Rachel are now getting pretty close to 14 and 11. So maybe they're not that young, but they are at the age where, they will increasingly come into contact with drug use. And I guess as a parent, this is the last thing I want to see for my kids or anyone else's children. I understand that people defend the use of drugs, but that said, I think I've been very fortunate to live a drug-free life, and I don't meet many people who've led a drug-free life who regret it. I met a lot of people who haven't who've regretted it. So this is something that we want to encourage, obviously, for our children, for everybody's children. Now, I also want people to understand what we're really talking about here when we're talking about the drug trade. When people say focus on violent crime instead of drugs, there's lots of crimes a lot worse than, casual use of marijuana. But when people are buying from the drug trade, they're not buying from their neighbor. They are buying from international cartels that are involved in unimaginable violence and intimidation and social disaster and catastrophe all across the world. All across the world. I just wish people would understand that. And not just on drugs. Even when people buy an illegal carton of cigarettes and they avoid tax, that they really understand the kind of criminal networks that they are supporting and the damage they do. Now, I know some people say if you just legalized it, you'd get the money and all would be well. But I think that rests on the assumption that somehow drugs are bad because they're illegal. The reason it's not that. The reason drugs are illegal is because they are bad. And even if these things were legalized, I can predict with a lot of confidence that these would never be respectable businesses run by respectable people. Because of the very nature of the dependency they create, the damage they create, the social upheaval and catastrophe they create, particularly in third world countries. I mean, you look at Latin America, some of the countries to the south of us, and the damage the drug trade is doing, not just to people's lives as drug users. Look at the violence it's creating in neighborhoods, the destruction of social systems, of families, of governmental institutions, the corruption of police forces. I mean, these are terrible, terrible organizations. And while I know people have different views, I must admit myself sometimes I'm frustrated by how little impact governments have been able to have on the drug trade internationally. But we should not fool ourselves into thinking that if we somehow stop trying to deal with it, it would suddenly turn into a nice, wholesome industry. It will never be that. And I think we all need to understand that, and we all need to make sure our kids understand. Not just that our kids, hopefully not just understand the damage drugs can do to them, but they understand as well the wider social disaster they are contributing to if they, through use of their money, fund organizations that produce and deliver illicit narcotics.
Thank you for this thoughtful answer. Yeah. It was a great opportunity for Canadians to reach out to you, to people to vote, to tell you what's on their mind. You see a broad spectrum of questions that really reflect what's on the mind of Canadians. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this. It was a real pleasure for us as well as Google to be able to facilitate this. Thank you again for your time.
Well, thanks for having me, Patrick, and I appreciate the opportunity and the variety of the questions. So, merci beaucoup.
Ça m'a fait vraiment plaisir. À bientôt.